Hello and welcome to another episode on Roscast. Welcome to this space once again. Today's topic is titled Biko Approve Me. Now, Biko is please in Igbo language. In Igbo language, it means please. So you can interpret the whole word or the whole title as please approve me. So this topic is going to be talking about approval, the need for approval. And I'm going to be sharing as usual with guided vulnerability on this topic. So with that being said, what are we waiting for? Let's ride into today's topic. Now, as usual, the word will be defined approval. Now, I'm not defining approval from a dictionary term, but I'm going to define it as what I've understood it to mean all these years. Approval it means to be welcomed. It means to be appreciated. It means to be accepted. Now, when a person is approved, it means that person is welcomed in a particular place, and that means the person has the opportunity to express him or herself. When an idea is approved, it means that the idea is appreciated, the idea is welcomed. So that means that there is an opportunity and space for that idea to flourish, for that idea to be able to have shape, take form, and be able to do what it was created for. Now, the need for approval is part of the human desire. It's a part of a normal human desire. So when we want to be approved, when we want to be accepted, when we want to be welcomed, it's not a strange desire. It's not something that is an alien desire. It is part of the human desire because it actually shows that you are valued. So when something is approved, it shows that that thing is valued enough to be accepted. Now, there is a common, I would like to use the word there is a common, because I cannot say it has not been there, but there's a phrase that is being said that I don't need your approval, I don't need your approval. And most people who use that dismissive statement say it from a place of being hurt. It is not an original statement. It is not the original human statement to say I don't need your approval. Most times when people say I don't need your approval, it's coming from a place of being hurt, because the normal human desire is the need to feel welcomed. When we are welcomed, it means that we are given the opportunity to grow within a community. Human beings are communal beings. We are communal species. So we thrive more when we work together. We thrive better when we are given an opportunity to grow individually then communally. But due to our normal human nature of just being interestingly amazing, I'm not saying this in a sarcastic tone. We tend to want to outshine others. We tend to have the tendency of wanting to be like the coolest one out. So sometimes there's a tendency to suppress others in order for one person to only shine. However, the normal human pattern, I'm not saying this as an anthropologist, as someone that studies human nature or the behavior of humans yet. I can't call myself that. But from what I've observed, I know that humans thrive better when they work together, when they are given the chance to feel that they are part of a community. And to feel like you are part of a community, you need to feel approved, you need to feel welcomed, you need to feel accepted to be part of a community, to be part of a place, And when that is not there, it means that you are not given the opportunity to really express who you are, the opportunity to express your abilities, the opportunity to make an input. And when you're not able to make an input, it appears as though you don't have a use. And unless you are someone that likes to feel useless, most of us don't like to feel useless. We want to feel useful, we want to feel important, we want to feel relevant. So approval is really something that is a core of our self-worth, is a core of our of our identity. It's a core of our identity. The sense and the need to feel approved, to feel welcomed, and to feel accepted. Now, just like every good desire, there's always going to be a balance point. There's always going to be a low point, and there's always going to be an excessive point. Every good desire certainly can be mismanaged, can be misunderstood, can be misappropriated. Just any good thing can be turned to be negative, and that's one of the strange power of human beings. Like one of our negative power, let me use that word. That sounds weird to say, but we have the ability to turn good things to bad things just based on how we manage it. Now, the need for approval, like I already said, is a basic human desire because we are very common one. However, it can either become an obsessive desire when we want by all means to feel approved, to feel welcome, to feel accepted, to the point of doing anything just to feel that way. And this is a reflection of still how we see ourselves first. Now, despite the fact that the need to feel approved is a basic human desire, it still rests on the platform of the basic understanding of knowing who you are. So if you don't really know who you are, what you stand for, you are going to seek for approval from just any place. Now, when you know yourself, when you know who you are, when you know what you stand for, when you know what you are worth, you are not going to look for approval in just any place. You're going to look for approval in a place that you know is right for you, because there's a right place for everyone to get approved, to feel approved. Also, aside from feeling obsessed with wanting to be approved, there's also the downside of feeling that you cannot be welcomed. So you don't even want to make an effort. You don't want to even make you don't want to put in anything to bring out yourself. Now, this is a downside. Some people, either due to life circumstances or due to just their nature of not wanting to make any effort, most people don't even want to ever make a try of or ever want to have the hope that they would be welcomed, they'll be accepted. And with that notion, it makes them really nonchalant, really non-contributive at all wherever they are. They try their best not to even contribute, not to even put themselves out, not in a negative way, not putting yourself out in like trying to overshadow other people, but not in any way trying to contribute to where they are, because they don't think they can be welcome, they can be approved. Now, without going into too much details in certain things, I know that trauma, some unfavorable situations that some people have gone through may tilt their desires, they may tilt their thoughts towards feeling approved, either in the downside or in the excessive side. Now, if you are someone that have always felt that you need to prove your worth, you've had people always maybe talk you down, people always dismiss you, dismiss your abilities, dismiss your ideas, dismiss your thought, dismiss your uncomfortabilities, just dismiss you as an individual, there's a tendency that you may want to try too hard to make sure that you are welcome wherever you go, even if it means pushing your weight, even if it means bullying people, even if it means doing anything as much as possible, you feel welcomed. There's a high tendency for that to happen because inside of you, there is that gaping hole. There's that need that you need to fill up that space in your heart with the need to feel approved. And then if you are someone also that in the downside, if people have always dismissed you, if people have always looked down on you, you can also at the point feel that there is no need to ever try, because maybe no matter what I do, I may never feel welcomed, I may never feel accepted, I may never find my people, I may never find my community. Now, like I said already in the intro of this topic, and I've always said, Rosecast is on the platform of guided vulnerability. I'm going to be sharing that I myself, I actually had to experience this as well. I've experienced the need and the need to feel approved, because for most of my life, it has always felt like I've not really been finding my own kind of people, my own kind of community. It's always felt like I'm always in places where I feel like the odd one out. I feel like the unique one, like not unique in the sense that I'm feeling superior to other people, but I've always felt like I've been in places where the people I get to interact with don't necessarily share my core values, don't really share my perspective on life. Like we can't really get to be in the same page and really exchange ideas. And most of the times, most of this unique set of humans, because their process pattern is different from mine, and probably because not being on the same page, or not being able to handle different opinion from my side and from their side, it has always felt like, okay, my opinions, my thoughts are not really welcomed. So that need and that feeling of my own people, my own community, has been something that has been a process for me. And for a very long time in my life, I've had to struggle with feeling left out. Like even when I meet really nice people, it only takes a while for me to start feeling like I don't belong here, I don't belong in this space. But some few years ago, I began to just realize that, girl, you have your own people. And God has allowed me to meet certain unique individuals that I realized that, yes, this is my person. This is my person. Like, girl, you are not alone. You're not that odd one out. There are people that are like you. There are people that you can form community with. And some of these experiences has given me hope and encouragement to know that I can find my own people. And I'm not just so strange out there that there's no other person like me. It has been a journey for me. It has been a journey realizing that I can find my community, I can find myself. But then, what about the need to feel approved? How have I been dealing with that need to feel approved? How have I dealt with it? Have I completely gotten over the need to feel approved? Let's continue today's podcast to know more of that. Now, because this need is something that is sort of deep-seated and it's something that has been that has happened over the years, I don't know how many people that could relate with me, but this is me really being vulnerable here. But because that need has been there for a while, it's not something that I can just get over immediately. One of the things that God told me 2 years ago was, when He was telling me to be patient with myself. At some point, I really felt frustrated at certain things in my life I felt I wanted to be over with. And God was like, girl, some of these things took years to happen, to take root. It can't just go off in one day. You have to be patient with the process for them to change. And it just meant that I needed to be patient with God's process on my life. And I'm still trusting Him to keep being patient on that process in my life. It means that I have to continually be intentional. I have to continuously be intentional in like guarding my heart, guarding myself, guiding my principles for life, guarding how I approach life and how I see things, and not necessarily just be myopic in my own thoughts. Now, the need to feel approved can really paralyze you. It can make you become a people pleaser. It can make you such a perfectionist that you really want to try so hard to make sure that everything is so done well, so nobody ever gets to criticize what you are doing. Everybody gets to just say good things about you and good things. Well, but that doesn't really make you a real person, because real people make mistakes. Real people don't always have it together. Real people don't always get accepted, and that is part of life. And if we cannot face that reality, it means that we will continue to suffer and also make other people suffer. So dealing with this need to feel approved is always coming back to remind myself that, girl, who are you? Asking myself that question: who are you? What do you stand for? why do you really feel the need to feel so approved by some certain kinds of people? Now, I already said that the need to feel approved is a basic human desire, but then it still comes up from that place of knowing who you are and knowing what your worth is. Now, not everybody is going to approve you. Not everybody is going to welcome you. Not everybody is going to accept you, and that is fine. That is fine. If not for anything, that is something that a very close friend of mine has continuously had to sound in my ear, and I'm very grateful to God for really healthy relationships that I have in my life, because they have also been a very good anchor for me. You cannot be accepted by everybody. You cannot be welcomed by everybody, and that is fine. We ourselves don't accept everybody. We ourselves don't welcome everybody. So why should other people accept us? Why should everybody accept us? As much as we don't go around trying to make people hate us, we don't go around trying to just be unnecessarily difficult people. As long as that's not what we are doing, as long as we are working on ourselves, improving our character, taking corrections, the truth of the matter lies that not everybody is going to accept us. And when this truth lies in our head, we know we don't have to try too hard to feel accepted. One of the things I've also had to learn in recent years is that your people will be your people. Your community will be your community. Sometimes it may take years. It may need you to just be really patient with time in order to get your own people, in order to get your own community. But when you finally do, it's going to be worth the process. It's going to be worth the time. It's going to be worth all the experiences that you've done. It's going to be worth the waiting to get to that process, to get to that point. And if you are in an environment where it seems as though feeling welcome is really being tough, is really taking a long time, like I said, it's always good to just pause at every point and reevaluate yourself, reevaluate your thoughts about yourself, reevaluate your standard for your self-worth. What is defining your self-worth? What is defining your confidence? What is defining your identity? It's good to always come, because sometimes we find ourselves in a place that it is really hard to find, to feel approved, to feel welcomed. And the only thing that really strengthens us during that time is having the right mindset about who we are and what we stand for, and knowing that we don't have to always do too much. We can be ourselves, improve ourselves, and that will be fine. That will be good enough. That will be okay. As long as we are growing, as long as we are making improvements, that will be fine. Now, as a Christian, God is the foundation of my life, the foundation of my principles, and I see myself first from God's perspective. However, I'll be lying to say that I have always thought about what God says about me, or God says these amazing things about me whenever I feel the need to feel approved. No, I will be lying if I say that. There have been many times when I feel or ask myself, like, why am I not feeling approved? Why am I not welcomed? Why does this person not approve me? Why am I being dismissed? Why do I feel left out? There's times that these are the thoughts that really run through my mind more than even thinking, oh, God says this about me. But because God is really the foundation of my self-worth, even when these thoughts cloud my mind, because I've given God that precedence in my life, He always comes through to remind me and to redirect my thoughts, to redirect my understanding, to remind me of really how I'm supposed to see myself. Also, knowing that God's approval means much more to me than how people approve me has also been a way to balance out how I feel when I don't feel welcomed in a place. And sometimes when I don't feel welcomed in a place, I often sometimes pause to ask myself, okay, why is this happening? If it happens to be, it's because it's something that I cannot change, and it's just because the people there cannot just accept me, cannot just welcome me, then that's just the reality about life, and that's a part of life that I have to accept, a part of life that I have to deal with. without you necessarily carrying a grudge, because it would happen, and it happens. It happens, we come to a place and we do not feel welcomed. Now, as long as it does not involve threatening of life, it doesn't involve something that would put us in so much danger. You just have to find a way to deal with it, to live with it. There are people that will not accommodate you, and you just have to deal with it. And as much as people say, oh, find your people, sometimes you may not be able to find your people, and you just have to still be in that place and deal with things. Now, looking at the Bible from Psalm chapter 27, verse 10, David there was saying that when my father and my mother forsake me, the Lord will pick me up. And in Isaiah 49, he talked about God saying that, can a mother forget her suckling child? But even if she does, I, the Lord, will not forsake her. Now, it will happen sometimes even from your own people that you are not getting approval. Probably the people that you love the most, the people that you regard the most, are not approving you. What are you going to do? Would you like kill yourself because of that? No, we cannot do that. We cannot end our lives. We cannot snuff ourselves out because the people closest to us, the people that we want to feel approved from, do not approve us. No, we just need to still forge ahead, because there is more to life than them. There are more people out there. And like I said, because you've not found your community now, does not mean you will not find them soon. Does not mean they are not around you. Does not mean they will not come. This also reminds me of the story of Joseph. Joseph was not approved in his own house. Even his own father did not really welcome the idea when he told them that this is the dream that God gave to me. Worst, his brothers that were old enough to be his fathers. Like, he was such a young boy because his father gave birth to him at his old age. He was like child of his father's old age. So most of his brothers were old enough to be his father, but they were jealous of such a young boy. And imagine the betrayal Joseph had to go through, where people that were supposed to protect you put you in danger because they could not welcome you, they could not accept you. And being in a strange land as he went to a strange land and still facing a similar persecution in his master's house. So Joseph is a very good example of the need to feel approved. However, Joseph is a man that knew who he was and what he stood for, and where his principle was coming from God. He knew that God's approval of him was first before any other person. And at the end of the day, that brought him into the promise that God had given him already. Now, like I said, as much as approval is our basic desire, God's approval is always more than any other person's approval, because when God approves you, certainly people are going to approve you. Like, they may not approve you now, but they'll approve you later. So at the end of the day, God's approval means more than a human being approving you, because human beings change. Sometimes the person who even approves you today may not approve you tomorrow, and the person that does not approve you today may approve you tomorrow. So we cannot tie ourselves to humans who are very conditional, who are very fluctuating. We need to rely on God, who does not change, who is very constant. So if God approves us, then that is much more important. Now, I still want to bring a balance, like I said before. The fact that God's approval means more to us, and the fact that humans can change and humans do change, does not mean that we intentionally really live our lives in a way that is displeasing or that brings discomfort to other people. I want to bring that balance. Like I already said before, some people feel that, okay, I don't need your approval, then they thereby live their life so recklessly in a way that it causes a lot of discomfort to other people, just because they are trying to say, I don't need your approval. No, there's a balance point for that. As much as we need to be ourselves, we also need to improve character traits, the things about our lives that are not good, things about our life that are not pleasing, things about our life that are not admirable. Yes, we are on a journey and we are working on it. And as we are working on it, there are people that will come in, there are people that will leave out. But as long as we are growing, that is what matters more. just like in 2 Timothy 2 verse 15 says, it says, study to show thyself approved, a workman who does not need to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Now, in having God's approval, we don't necessarily need to do so much, like work and prove to God. Christ has already died for us, and that is our approval. However, when we need to partner with God, we need to spend time with God, we need to be in communion with God, we need to intentionally involve God in the fabrics of our lives in order to build our relationship with Him. And as we walk in obedience with Him, knowing that our approval already comes from what Christ has done, we are building our faith, building ourselves, building our relationship with God, and working with God. And when that understanding becomes more firm in us, it also lets us define who we are, define our self-worth, define our self-confidence, define ourselves in God. And when we define ourselves in God, it also reflects in how we seek to feel approved by other people, especially from people that are being unreasonable, people that just do not want to like us, people that don't just want to understand us, or people that just want to dislike us. I think I'm saying the same thing, but I just have to repeat it. When we meet such unreasonable people, because we already have a proper understanding of who we are, it helps us know that, man, I can't beg for your approval. If you choose not to approve me because of your own hate, or because of your own dislike, or because of just yourself and your problems, then let that be. There's nothing much I can do about it. But and if you want to continue in that way, then so be it. I continue with my life. I'm okay with it. So yes, getting God's approval does not come by us like doing paparazzi and being all over the place. It comes from really understanding what Christ has done for us and walking in that, in that blessing, in that privilege that God and Christ has given to us. Now, with this being said, reiterating back to the title of this podcast, Biko Approve Me. Please approve me. No, we don't need to beg for approval. We don't need to beg for approval. No, we don't. You don't have to beg for approval. When you beg for approval, it no longer comes as what it's supposed to be. It becomes will I use the word, you become belittled, and that none of us should be in that position. Nobody should belittle us with our approval. That's another thing that I've had to keep on learning as well. Like, there are people that will belittle you, and there are people that would like to look down on you, but let that not be on your own approval. Let that not be because you are intentionally allowing yourself to be belittled. You may not be able to stop some people belittling, but let that not be because you give them the permission to, because you do not have a proper understanding of yourself and what you stand for, and just how precious you are. Yes, we are all precious. You are precious. I'm precious. And with that understanding, it helps us to also stop and set boundaries to how people will treat us. It helps us to set boundaries to how people will treat us. So please, you don't need to beg for approval. If a person insists on not welcoming you and they are doing it without allowing you the space to grow, then please let them be. Like I said, you will find your community, you will find your place. Maybe you just have to be patient for that to happen. With all that I've said, I'm not talking like someone that has always gotten it all together. From past experiences that I've had where there were certain people that I was so enamored by, that I really liked, that I wanted them to accept me, to welcome me, and I probably went out of my way to make myself so available for them, and it did not work out in that way. From those experiences to where I'm currently at this point in my life, I could just say, wow, I'm grateful for where I'm at now. And I could tell my younger self, like, girl, there are going to be people in the future who will be so happy to have you in their lives, who will be so happy to welcome you, who will value you, and with whom you don't have to do too much. You just have to be yourself, and being yourself is already enough for them. And that is why I'm encouraging anyone out there that you are going to find your community maybe you just have to wait for it. Maybe you just have to be patient with this time now. Maybe you just have to encourage yourself now and have the hope that is going to happen. Now, I'm not saying that I've completely found my community, but I'm learning every day just to be grateful for the people that God keeps bringing into my life, people that I can, form a community with, people that I am forming a community with, and I'm grateful to God for that privilege. Now, it doesn't mean there are no times that I still feel like, I wish I could feel more fit in, and I could feel more included. And those thoughts do come, but I'm learning to always balance out those thoughts. Now, with that being said, there's actually a podcast that was titled Fitting, which was made sometime last year, if I'm not wrong. And if it was not in 2021, it was made in 2020. And I think I was quite vulnerable in that podcast. So if you really want to listen to a podcast that's similar to this, then you could go check this previous podcast and listen to it. So yes, I'm still in the process, I'm still growing, but currently at this point in my life, I'm so grateful to God for how far I have come. And just to repeat, you don't need to beg for approval. You don't need to beg for it. When it comes by begging, then it is not really what it's supposed to be. No, you don't need to beg for approval. I think I should not repeat that again, but I've repeated it again, and that is it. So yes, I'm so grateful to God for where I'm currently at my life, and I'm trusting God that as my years progress by His grace, it's going to keep getting better. And I also hope for you as well to also keep getting better for you. And if you've never really felt this way, if you can't really resonate with this podcast, then I think you need to listen to it for other people. And just to say, please treat people kind. Like, even if someone is someone you may not want to welcome, just try your best. Like, there's a way to always do things in a more polite way. And yeah, we can always do better. And with that being said, that brings us to the end of today's episode on Roscast. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And as usual, if this podcast blessed you, please do not hesitate to share it to others, to listen and to be blessed just as you were blessed. And if you want to send your feedback, send your comments, send your questions, send your inputs, do not hesitate to also share that. The link attached to this podcast platform will help you to do that. And if you are following me on any of my social media platforms, then do not hesitate to send me a DM on that, to send your feedback. That will be well welcomed. So yes, I'm trusting God for His help, for His mercies. If you are aware, if you're not following me on any of my social media platform, I'm updating on my blog, updating on my vlog, updating on my other places. So please do not hesitate to also engage on those platforms. And with that being said, until next time on Roscast, stay safe and God bless. Bye bye.